welcome to Mock the Week. I'm Dara O'Brien. Joining me this week are Ed Gamble, Maisie Adam and Milton Jones, Rhys James, Hugh Dennis and Angela Barnes. We start with the picture of the week. I show the panel a topical image and ask them to tell me what's happening. So, what's going on here?
Has he just escaped another vasectomy?
Is this what he wears as well as a condom now, just in case?
Is this what dinner ladies will have to look like if they reopen schools?
I think he's just been asked, like, how long until everyone gets the vaccine. He's gone, about that long?
Is that the people inside are probably saying, I'm sorry, Boris, there's nothing we can do. The economy is dead.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Don't bring in reality into this here. Captain Downer over here, right?
It does sort of look like they're doing a school group science project and they've just sent the fit kid next door to measure the air.
Do you think you're supposed to do clap for the NHS in person?
That's how he's trying to pay the scientists with the clap, like he did the nurses.
I think that's the first time I've seen a hairnet that looks better than the hair underneath.
Yes. When he takes it off, it'll be a right mess.
Why does this open down the front? This is the first PPE I've seen that's been made with the flasher in mind.
I think he's actually in the lab and they're studying him.
OK, Ed, can anyone give me the correct answer?
Is this how we'll be able to see our families next Christmas?
The correct answer, clearly, Dara, is Boris Johnson.
It absolutely is. Thank you very much.
How could you tell? He's the one guy.
Yes, this is Prime Minister Boris Johnson visiting a vaccine facility in Oxfordshire. This is news that against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic, he's facing increasing pressure on a number of fronts. Conservative MPs are urging him to map a route out of lockdown and reopen schools as the government tries to keep a lid on the new strains of the virus. So how is he doing?
Great.
Yeah.
He's doing so well. I think he's really smashing it, actually. Not a lot of people are saying that, but I think he has hit this one out of the park.
This is so typical, Ed, of the sort of person who went to school with him.
The problem with asking him to reveal some sort of exit strategy for this is it sort of assumes that he's got one.
Yeah.
You know, it's like asking me to reveal my abs.
I don't think he's done a particular... I think there's times he should have been way more decisive and there's massive questions to be asked. However, I do think we need a plan to get out of this. At some point, you just want to go, it's a pandemic, you babies. You just have to wait. It's a virus. They all go on about the war, whatever. They haven't been able to survive a year without going, this is too much. I'm bored of this now. How would they survive an actual war? Going, oh, Churchill, how much longer does this have to go on? Make us promises, because we are babies. Make us promises. It's a pandemic.
I love how MPs always use national holidays as reference points for how long things will take. So they were like, oh, we're not going to be able to do this by Christmas. Now they're saying, like, oh, we won't be back in school till after Easter. Right, but pretty soon they're going to run out of mainstream ones because there's a big gap between Easter and Halloween. And they'll start saying things like, oh, I'm sorry, but gyms won't be reopening until after International Pyjamas Day. Just like, look, you won't be able to mix households until well gone June, so you will miss National Road Safety Week. I'm sorry.
In terms of Boris being slightly out of date, at one stage during the thing he said, I hope this will all be finished by tulip season.
There you go, International Dog Day.
Oh, Mr. Finger on the Pulse.
We knew he didn't have his finger on the pulse when he's only just discussing closing the borders. It's like it's been open for a year, mate. When you just realised there's a pandemic. It's like making people shower before they get in a swimming pool that's already full of piss.
Yeah, banning international travel 10 months into a pandemic, like trying to put a condom on at your child's graduation.
Yeah.
They want people to go into hotels, don't they, now? Is that what they're talking
yeah,
about?
they want to set up
people to go
hotels,
into
yeah.
hotels, come back and self-isolate in a hotel for 10 days. And the question is, which hotels? And for one brand of hotels, it's just a simple name change. It'd just be Covotel.
He says as well that when the kids do go back to school, that they'll come back in, like, they'll do it in phases. So presumably the emo kids first, then the ones that are having a rebellious phase, and then the ones who don't know if they're a lesbian or just really enjoy hockey. Then
People are saying that kids need to go back to school to socially develop with their friends. If I'd not been in school mixing with other boys, I'd be a way better person. You know, I'm not... I saw my friend Anthony try and fit a whole board rubber in his foreskin. I don't think that's what we need.
Yeah, but what you have to remember...
That's not what we want to send kids back to school for.
Most people in this country don't go to private school then.
Yeah, fine, whatever they use as instead of a board rubber.
Please, though, imagine these kids don't go back to school for like as long as possible, and then this is just a whole generation of absolute morons. How clever are we going to feel when we come across these kids in 20 years at a party? We just blow their minds with the simplest shit imaginable. Just in conversations going, did you know that Richard of York gave battle in vain? and then like a magic trick, you can go, and not just that. Look at the rainbow. What do you see?
What policy idea was the government forced to dismiss this week?
This was a plan to give £500 to anyone who's self-isolating.
Yes.
And the reason they turned it down is because if they were to do that, by now they would owe Keir Starmer 1,500 quid.
Yeah. Keir Starmer is now on his third isolation for having the third... It's like Keir Starmer is, I'm sure, a fine mind, but he's like Mr. Bean at this stage, trying to keep a shirt clean for an event. Keir Starmer in a long-running... Oh, no, pasta sauce! Wow! Now I've got to get another shirt. Like, it's like, what? I've got to self-isolate again? Wah, wah, wah. £500 will cover you for the 10 days, 2 weeks of self-isolation. I think it's only if you've got COVID.
Yeah, they said it might happen, and then they said it's not going to happen. I love at that point when they announced it wasn't going to happen, there was just someone halfway through licking a lamppost.
They've wasted so much money, this government, on doing all these different schemes, right? They did track and trace. They're getting all these police on the streets now. They're, like, buying locks to, like, lock up benches and stuff like that. It's in the billions what they've spent, right? It would have been more effective and cheaper if just at the start of all of this, they'd have said, right, everyone's got to stay in the house. Whoever stays in the longest gets 5 million quid. 5 million quid to stay... I know it means nothing to you, Dara, but to the rest of us...
No, I could do the other wing of the house. And so where can we get the vaccine? The vaccine is now more available than it was.
Well, all over the place.
Very much all over the place,
You can get it in cathedrals.
Yes.
Salisbury Cathedral, you can do it.
You
It's a
can.
very useful place for people praying it isn't Novichok.
They've started a hub in an old IKEA store, haven't they? And I thought, you've got to be careful there, because you ask for a Pfizer, you could end up with a coffee table.
I used to work in IKEA, selling over 7,000 different items. Dara, give me a number between 1 and 7,000. I'll tell you what it is.
234.
Sorry, out of stock. Lucky you chose that one.
It's a high-risk game to play, but it's funny when it works.
Apparently, if you get the IKEA vaccine, though, you've got to administer it yourself while your girlfriend tells you you're doing it wrong. And then just when you finish doing it, you find an extra syringe and you don't know what you were meant to use it for.
the Black Country Living Museum is used for the Peaky Blinders set. So if you get your vaccine here, one of the side effects could just be a really dodgy Brummie accent. Like, you come out and be like, thanks so much for my vaccine.
Moving on, what advice did NHS Trust in Scotland have for people venturing out in the snow?
This is telling people to walk like a penguin.
That's the advice, yeah.
In the snow. Just when you think that 2021 can't get any more batshit mental, it turns out Happy Feet is a public information film.
It's actually decent. It checks out, though. I mean, people got angry, but it makes perfect sense. Like, if you're walking on ice and snow, you have to waddle. It's the safest thing.
There was a woman in my village up in Yorkshire, we lived in like a dip, like that, and there was a woman in my village, no one knew her name, she was just known as 10 to 2, because whenever it got icy, she used to walk down the hill with her feet like that, going 10 to 2, 10 to 2, 10 to 2. No one ever found out her name. Even in the summer, people would be like, there's 10 to 2, 10 to 2, 10 to 2.
And did nobody think of asking her name?
I just love the idea that it's like, fair enough, she's got her own walking technique, but she felt the need to, like, say it out loud to herself as she was doing it. She's going, 10 to 2, 10 to 2.
Amazing, you get more Yorkshire every week on this. I never thought I'd hear from you. When I was in Yorkshire, we lived in a dip.
Listen, I am the second most well-known person from my village, except for 10 to 2. Shout out to 10 to 2.
We're all happy in dip.
She fell down dip one day, she became 6:30.
OK, at the end of that round, the points go to Angela, Hugh and Reese.
Oh, yes.
Now we play a round called Baby Got Vax. This game involves Angela and Milton. So if you could make your way to the performance area, please. This round is a stand-up challenge. I launch a wheel of news, and whoever chooses to stop, one of our performers must step forward and talk about that subject. OK, here we go. Our first topic, please. Let's spin the wheel. The first subject is ageing. Angela.
Hello. I am 44, ladies and gentlemen. I gave you a moment for a gasp of surprise. Fuck you. People often ask me how I managed to look so young, and I do have a secret to looking young, and I will share it with you. And my secret is that I wake up every single morning and I don't have any children. Easy when you know the tricks, it is. I'm part of what they call the Peter Pan generation, Generation X. We're the generation that had the first Alco Pops, right? And I think that's why we'll never grow old, because Alco Pops send you a message, don't they? So you don't have to get old. You can get pissed on lemonade forever. You know, it's a beautiful... Because alcohol was a rite of passage, wasn't it? It was something you had to grow to love, like olives or stepchildren. You know? I still drink Alco Pops. I thought by the time I was 44, I'd be a sort of sophisticated drinker. You know, drinking expensive red wine with my friends while discussing current affairs. I thought I'd be French. That's what I thought would happen. No, because you never see a French person, do you? Never see a French person with red wine lips. Never. Me, 2 glasses of red wine, I look like I've sucked off a felt tip. Why is that? People had said to me before I turned 40 that when you turn 40, as a woman, you become invisible. I was like, brilliant, because that's like the best superpower, right? And then I got a taste of what they actually mean. I was with my brother. Now, my brother's a lot younger than me. He's 12 years younger than me. His name's Phil, or as I like to call him, Whoops. And, sorry, Phil. We were walking along together, and we walked past a nightclub, and there was a guy outside the nightclub, and he was handing out flyers to passers-by, and he gave one to my brother, and he didn't give one to me, and I was furious. Right? I was like, how dare you judge me on my age and appearance? How dare you decide? I've got more disposable income than young people. I could spend it in your establishment. How dare... And the guy sheepishly handed me a flyer, and I snatched it out of his hand and walked round the corner, and that's when I realised it was a flyer about the importance of checking your testicles. 2021, mate, I could have testicles.
Thank you very much, Angela. That leaves us with Milton. Let's see what your topic is. Let's spin the wheel. And it's childhood.
So I come from a family of failed magicians. I've got 2 half-sisters. Apparently, I brought my biological parents out in a rash. So I was brought up by my non-biological parents. An upbringing of little comfort, I can tell you. I remember years ago being in the 100-acre wood. And next to me there was a girl with a twig and I was standing on a little bridge and she said, "Poo sticks?" I said, "It does, doesn't it?" You find the twig helps, do you? I didn't like nursery rhymes. Oh, no. Grand old Duke of York, manic depressive. Well, when he was up, he was up. Probably lived in a dip. Thanks, that doesn't normally work. My brother, he's in his final year if he doesn't stop annoying me. It's not his fault. When he was young, he fell into a snow globe. Managed to survive, just badly shaken.
Thank you very much. Well done. Points there for Milton Jones. Sit back down. Thank you very much. Our next round is called If This Is the Answer, What Is the Question? On the board are 6 categories. Maisie, which category would you like?
World news, please.
Lovely. Your topic is world news. The answer is 100 days. What is the question?
Is it how long has January lasted for this year?
Is it how long till there's a female president of America?
Is it how long will you now spend in quarantine if you make a day trip to France?
Is it, after it's rained, how long does it take to get out of the dip?
Is it for how long could I not shit after the short-lived Scotch egg boom of 20?
Is it how long since an email did actually find me well?
Is it how long does every hour feel when you're homeschooling?
Is it how much time do I save in restaurants by combining my starter and pudding into one simple, delicious tiramisu?
Is it how long does the government wait before following the science?
Is it how long have I gone without masturbating in total?
Is it how long does it take a couple of snails to play a game of dominoes using some ladybirds?
Is it how long has Joe Biden given himself to kind of launch his presidency?
Absolutely right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hugh, well done. Very good. Yes, the question I was looking for was, what timescale did Joe Biden set to roll out his legislative agenda? This is the news that Joe Biden has outlined his plans for his first 100 days in office and will focus on coronavirus, climate change and international relations. So what has he done so far?
Well, he's rolled back a load of Trump policies, hasn't he? So he's rejoining the World Health Organization. The travel bans on predominantly Muslim countries, he's lifting those. And the no fat chicks in the Pentagon rule's gone.
Didn't get as much coverage as he should have, that rule, but yeah, he has cleared that out there.
He's lifted the Muslim travel ban just at the moment where nobody is going to want to go to America at all. So he's gone like, don't worry, travel ban's lifted, and Muslims all over the world have gone, you're all right, mate.
He's lifted the travel ban at the exact same time he's rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement. That feels like mixed messages to me, mate.
And what changes has he made to the Oval Office?
He's moved out the Winston Churchill bust.
I was going to say, was this one modelled on when Churchill was going through his severe teenage acne phase?
I thought it was modelled on when he was going through his severe presenting Mock the Week phase.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do this while not looking at it.
Why do you think Trump had a bust of Churchill? My theory is that he would turn to the bust of Churchill and he would go, "Am I the greatest president that ever lived?" And Churchill would answer, "Oh, yes."
Didn't they take out his Trump's Diet Coke button as well?
Yeah.
Trump had a button that he used to press and someone would bring him a Diet Coke. The only good thing he ever did, and Biden's got rid of it. That is so... As a president, you just get to put in whatever you want. Like, Trump had the Diet Coke button, Barack Obama had a basketball court put in. What's Biden going to have? Like a cuckoo clock that gives you insurance advice?
To be fair, I don't think he's had the Diet Coke button removed. I think he's just replaced it with a Horlicks button.
The thing is, though, so apparently what he used to do with the Diet Coke button, it was like a little joke Trump would do, where people would come in and they would see a red button and he would go, do you want me to press the button? And then they'd sort of like, other leaders would like laugh awkwardly, and then he would press it and someone would come in with a Diet Coke, and it was like a funny little prank. Right, which is nowhere near as big a deal as his prank when he'd go, do you want a Diet Coke? Greenland.
Just in the background.
Greenland just...
Did anyone else hear that someone blew their nose on the Zoom just then?
No.
Did they?
Endangering the rest of the Brady Bunch here. Are all sitting around you, and you're spreading your COVID
There's a
germ.
guy there who's in bed and I can't see his hands and it's making me really uneasy.
The total weirdest person, or the scariest person, is the woman sitting in front of the tarpaulin, in front of the drapes of plastic in the back corner there. What is going on behind that? Yes, pointing man. I'd be very nervous. Because what? Yeah, somewhere along that top row. What's behind this sheet? OK, whose inauguration outfit went viral?
Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie, yeah.
Bernie Sanders, yes, absolutely. This is Bernie Sanders.
Biden must be a bit annoyed that he spends all this time trying to look sort of young and vital by doing the peloton and running onto the stage, and then Bernie's a smash hit just for looking old and wearing mittens.
I know.
But this is probably part of the PR campaign, isn't it, to make Biden look young? They said to him, here's your options. Either you get an old bloke to sit there with some mittens, or you've got to come out on a skateboard. That's it, A or B.
And then that image, as you have no doubt seen, was grabbed and placed into a million different memes. For example, here is the classic image of him in Friends. Here he is in the iconic 1930s Manhattan construction site picture. And, of course, I have to say thank you to the million people who sent me these images of which this, for some reason, is my favourite. Here's Bernie.
That is the way my dad sat through every single drama production during school. Just...
Billy Elliot again.
Is another series of Alan Bennett monologues. Down road, 10 to 2, 10 to 2.
How do you make the Hovis ad last an hour and a half?
Every scene. Because, you seem to have caught me among my northern things. The end of that round. The points going to Ed, Maisie and Milton. Now we come to scenes we'd like to see. So if everyone can make their way over to the performance area, I'll read out this week's topics and we'll see what our panellists can come up with. OK, here we go. The first subject is unlikely lines from a costume drama.
Sir, I demand satisfaction. I will meet you in that field at dawn, and I expect a hand job minimum.
They're all naked.
Well, I never thought I'd say this, but I think I've fallen in love with a scullery maid. Apparently she grew up in a place called The Dip.
I cannot love you the way I wish to. The war in France has left me less of a man than you deserve. Oh, how to explain? Someone shot my knob off.
Heathcliff, my love, let me in, it's me, Kathy. I've left my keys at bingo, what am I like?
At last, he's replied to my missive. Tell me, what does it say? New messenger boy, who dis?
Well, why do you think the Duchess is crying? You just referred to her husband's coffin as the jukebox.
Lady Windermere, you are far more massive and liquid. This is Lake Windermere, isn't it?
I bring bad news, my liege. The Duke of Richmond, the Earl of Derby, and the Black Knight have all fallen, all gone. All turned into Weatherspoons.
Can they crack the Enigma code in tonight's film, The Imitation Game? Can they crack the Enigma code in tonight's film, The Imitation Game?
I can't go out there in just my garter and corset. What will my wife think?
I must defy you, Father. I will not marry for money or status. I will only marry for love and a massive cock.
I saw Mozart leaving the opera house. I shouted, Wolfgang! Wolfgang! He ignored me. But then he was eaten by a gang of wolves.
Oh, yeah, is that King Arthur? Hoping you can help. It's not really a sword and a stone thing, more of a cucumber arse situation.
I will not marry you, Mr. Darcy. Could you be my fuck buddy?
If you prick me, do I not bleed? If you tickle me, do I not laugh? If I chat shit, do I not get banged?
10 to 2, 10 to 2, 10 to 2, 10 to 2.
All right. The next topic is things you wouldn't hear on daytime TV.
And now it's time for Repair Shop, where Rishi Sunak has brought in the entire British economy.
Can I have a vowel, a consonant, and like 7 emojis?
And now it's time for some country music in a loft with Johnny Cash in the attic.
And after the break, Mark will be giving me all the tips on how to dress to impress. And I'll be telling Mark to shove his tips up his arse.
And now the programme with the biggest carbon footprint. It's Come Mine With Me.
Today, I'll be looking around this mystery celebrity's house while struggling to walk and hallucinating. This is Through the K-Hole.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Susanna. I talked over you there.
Who have I brought with me today? Thanks for asking, Vernon. It's my Auntie Sue, my mum Carol, and down the end is my gorgeous, gorgeous, soon-to-be stepdad Tony.
Well, my goodness, look at those kiwi fruit. They look absolutely delicious. Oh, no, sorry. Simon's looking at his testicles again.
Joining us today on Sunday Brunch are 3 celebrities who you were fairly certain were dead.
Of course, the best thing to do with leftovers is to put them in the fridge for a couple of days and then throw them away.
So, Boris says we're going to close our borders a full 9 months after every other country in the world. Let's see if it's pointless.
They have just 20 minutes to make £1,000. Time to find out if they really are loose women.
And now I'm looking for a bigger penis in Wanted Down Under.
And now it's time for Neighbours, starring Ramesh Ranganathan. That's right, he's in this now as well.
What do we think of the property? We love it. Of course we love it. We live here. Who the fuck are you?
Unfortunately, this week's bargain hunt has been cancelled after some contestants accidentally bought the Ark of the Covenant and melted David Dickinson's face off.
Welcome to our Saturday Kitchen Global Warming Special. And after the break, an emotional Greta Thunberg tries her hand at a baked Alaska.
And now, the very last episode of A Place in the Sun.
Next tonight, it's Family Fortunes, or as I like to call it, Pointless for Thick People.
Angela, are you OK?
I wouldn't have fallen over, but there's a dip.
Thank you. At the end of that round, the points go to Ed, Maisie and Milton. And that's the end of the show. This week's winners are Angela Barnes, Hugh Dennis and Rhys James. Commiserations to Milton Jones, Maisie Adam and Ed Gamble. Thanks for watching. I'm Darrell Green. Good night.